Good afternoon. My name is Bill McConnell. I am the Interim Director of Special Offerings and Appeals for the Presbyterian Mission Agency, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's episode of Between Two Pulpits. I'm honored to have with me today my colleague, Cy Hughes. Cy is a Mission Engagement Advisor. And Cy, how about introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yes, as Bill said, my name is Cy Hughes. I am the Mission Engagement Advisor for the Southeast region, which encompasses the synods of Mid-Atlantic and Synod of South Atlantic. I'm based here in Columbia, South Carolina with my family, and I work to engage and support the presbyteries and churches and individuals that have a passion for mission, have an interest in special offerings, or have questions about what it is that we do here at the Mission Agency. I try to be as helpful as I can, as often as I can. So
Excellent.
I'm really excited to be here. This is my first time on Behind the Two Pulpits. So hopefully I won't mess up too bad.
Between two pulpits. We don't get behind two pulpits anymore.
Behind two pulpits. Yeah. So I'm already off to a great start. I may not.
You're great. You're doing great. But we are in the season leading up to the Pentecost Offering. The Pentecost Offering supports ministries with children at risk, with youth, and with young adults. Just a reminder as you prepare to take the Pentecost Offering that when you do that, 40% of the offering is maintained or is retained in the local church for you to use as you see fit for ministries with youth, young adults, and children at risk. And today we've got a special guest. We have with us Gina Yeager-Buckley. Gina is the Associate for Presbyterian Youth and Triennium. And it's great to have you with us, Gina. And
thank you.
Glad to have some conversation about what's going on in youth ministry around the PCUSA. So I'm going to start. If you just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then briefly in 3 hours or so, what is the state of youth ministry around the church as you see it?
Okay. First of all, I would like to affirm Cy's original title, Behind the Two Pulpits, because if I could, I would be hiding behind the pulpit, not preaching from, hiding behind it, just sharing my voice, just saying. So I say, hello, love the new title. It's good to be with y'all today. Thank you for having me. And I want to start right off also by saying Pentecost season I've always loved. And I think from the 21 years ago decision, I think it was about 21 years ago, that the Pentecost Offering was born, it has just been this time of joy for me personally as a Presbyterian, as a youth worker, both volunteer and professional. I get excited, and I think people get excited to give to this offering because it is very special. It is designated for this group that we are nurturing, that we're learning from, but also that we have to invest in. And that's the key, I think, to children, youth, and young adult ministry is an active investment, and financially is an important investment. Like there's just no way around it. So I hope you will be joyful and generous with the Pentecost Offering this year as you take it. So what was your question, Bill? The state of youth ministry?
The state of youth ministry in the PCUSA.
Well, because I know all about youth ministry. No, from what I can see and what I hear, there is, it's happy, it's moving. I wouldn't even say it's hobbling anymore. There was a season where I think both youth workers and young people and parents all felt a little bruised and kind of baffled about how to regain that sense of doing ministry with young brains and energy. And, think about middle schoolers on Zoom for another hour and a half every Sunday. So that's what people were doing, and they were making it work as best they can. What I saw and what I continue to see was an incredibly, like a microbiome of nurturing each other, vastly through social media, through different events that folks attended either in person or virtually, but it's just sort of hang in there. Here's what we're doing. See what you're doing. So I think it was a pretty incredible way that folks kind of made it through the tough times. And so what I can see now is just that really happy stepping out back into retreats. Like that's kind of the fun thing. People are getting back to getting away, building that community again within their their youth group, welcoming up young people who are going to leave elementary school and move on into middle school, and welcoming up middle school to high school. Like the rites of passage are happening. And this is the time of year, which is also why I love the Pentecost offering, that's heavy in rites of passage for young people. And so from what I can tell, the folks in the PCUSA from the West Coast to the Northeast are working to make it happen, and recognizing it might look really different now. It might look really different. We will be on guard for a while about how to be safe. And we might have also learned that that short-term kind of focused studies and fellowship opportunities, that these things work better with this generation maybe than long drawn out 12-month plans. So it's been very interesting. I think I would say in youth ministry we have learned a lot and sort of shaken off some old skin. I think that's what you see in youth rooms right now.
Excellent.
Fantastic. I do want to ask a little bit about that. I've got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old, and I was really shocked, and maybe I shouldn't have been, at how well and how adaptive they were throughout the pandemic with technology and Zoom Sunday school and confirmation classes online and outdoors and you name it. What are some of the, I guess, best practices you've seen from other churches, congregations in your work? What are folks doing well that maybe others could pick up and model?
I think, I think the thing that I saw that was impressive is the second that you could be in any near proximity, take that opportunity. So even if it was chairs, I saw so many youth workers in young people's houses' front yards, kind of doing drop-off visits with a care package or drive-by graduations. Like I think young people are drawn to people who are attentive to them, who care about them, and that's what it took. And so the best practice is to say, it may be on screen, it may be weird, but let's do it. And I think young people rallied in particular. They, not that they thought it was fun. I wouldn't say, I think there was a lot of loss and draining, of having to do school, either hybrid or Zoom, and then trying to do these kind of Christian youth practices online. I think that was a little hard, but they rallied. And I think it was a lot of us adults that had a deep sense of grief about the regular, the old way kind of going away. So that young people seem to kind of be pretty amazing. I was talking to the lady who cuts my hair, who has 2 teenage boys, and she was saying that they are getting mask weary. And so I said, what's that like? Like, do you have to have like the morning, rally before school? And she said, well, it was really interesting because she's Catholic, and they just had the first communion for her younger son. And he said, Mom, I really want to do this. I want everybody to come, but I want nobody to be uncomfortable. So even though we don't have to wear masks, let's wear masks. So I was fascinated by that, because this is a young person processing that important gathering and rite of passage in his Christian faith, so it was kind of neat to hear. Their brains are magnificent, growing creatures.
Bill?
Oh, well, I was just going, a few months ago, you and your team had to make the tough decision to not hold the Youth Triennium in 2022. And I'm curious as to how you've seen that decision, that really tough, really disappointing, but yet really right decision, and how you've dealt with that, and how you're planning to move forward.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking and acknowledging the difficulty. It was not a flippant moment. It was a long process. And I would say it was a pretty hard holy moment that we had multiple conversations, kind of went through the layers with just our media team, and then our coordinating team, and then our production team, and then our COVID response team, and then with our senior PMA leadership. And I appreciated the layers of that, because we, as Presbyterians, we are called by the community. And so we needed to make that decision as a community. And each layer of that community had the right words and and fear. Like, we had a lot of fear and a lot of sadness. This is something we'd already been working on for over 2 years. So it's hard to kill your darling. As I learned in seminary, some great curriculum teacher taught me that, like, here's your darling and kill it. But it was the right thing, and we needed to do it at a certain time so that delegation registrars and presbyteries and churches weren't spending money on travel. And also we needed to help families make plans for the summer. So that there was a lot that went into it, but it was really hard. But we also made a decision that this one, we weren't sure how this was going to go, that our team, like, we made the announcement in early February, and that next week, our production team, the full team, gathered in Indianapolis, masks, distance, the whole thing, and gathered together. And it was one of the strangest, hardest, most beautiful meetings you've seen. But it was to say, what is God calling us to do? How do we lay down this 22 plan, and how do we help something rise up in that place? And out of that meeting came incredible ideas, brainstorming and conversations. And so we have a starting plan. We have some immediate pieces coming out in early June, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Don't let me forget that, because I really want you to know about that. And that's very directly all Pentecost supported. But now we're in the process of developing kind of a 2-year plan that'll include some cohorts that are for Presbyterian young people. So online things where they would take some of the lens labs that we were planning and do those with a group from across the country. So think about the theme of when did we see you? And you're with a group of 20 people, and it's your community for 6 weeks. And so you're studying drama or poetry or leadership development together. So there's some pieces like that just dropped beautifully into this new world. Some of the other pieces, just the being together, the rock tumbler of goodness that is the Triennium, that's just a loss, and so we can't make that up. But what we decided to do is do some traveling PYT events. And so these will be more regional, and we'll take the content and this theme that we're passionate about from Matthew 25, when did we see you? And we really, really want to push this out. What we say, we love to think of the image of launching this into the youthosphere of the PCUSA, because we feel like if we are really going to tackle eliminating racism, eradicating hunger, and building church vitality, the place you start is with your young people. That's where you start. History tells us when you want to start a movement, when you want to launch a vision, you've got to include your young people. So that's kind of what this next piece, PYT Beyond, is about. So that, I blathered a lot. Is it okay if I blather a second more about the new resources?
Go right on.
Okay, so I'm very excited to say in early June, we have 3 kind of a la carte options going out for free on the website. And these are going to be ideal. So one is what would have been the small group manual. So it's 3 sort of Bible study, community building, engaging sessions that you have that are led by a leader or a leadership team. So there'll be 3 of those. Then there's a rec package. So it's some themed, all the way from decorations to games to a really laid out, detailed party, like a theme related party that you can have. And then the third one is a worship and devotion resource. So all of these along the theme. And so you can pick and pull from these 3 pieces to build a weekend retreat, to build a week-long camp, if you're doing something at a camp or conference center. So we wanted these to be very adaptable. So all of the writers are writing these. They're literally picturing them in different kinds of rooms with different numbers and different settings. So I love the flexibility of it. I love that more people will actually get to engage with this than could have attended the actual Triennium because of the nature of the resources. So those will come out in early June. Actually, the first 2, the Bible study and the recreation, will come out early June, and then the worship and devotion will come out about a week later. And there's a good lot of resources built into that series, and they'll be great for a couple of years, I think.
Fantastic. Well, I can tell you as a spouse of a planner, I realized how hard it was to make the call on Youth Triennium, but we were very grateful that it was made sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that was key.
I think that allowed for us, and I'm sure lots of other folks, to make alternate arrangements or figure out what we're going to do with our summer during that
Yeah.
time. We know it was
Yeah.
difficult. We appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, we had to make a call because originally we were looking at a hybrid triennium. Some of the parts of the actual triennium were going to be live streamed very much like this. But when it came down to it, putting that event fully virtual, it didn't feel right to ask young people to be on Zoom for multiple hours in the middle of summer. It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like triennium anymore. It felt like something different. So we had to make some tough decisions.
Well, I can say on behalf of parents everywhere that the fewer screens, the better. So I say that on the Facebook Live. So, but
yeah,
I think that is the truth. I think more in person if we can help it.
yeah.
One of the things that Bill and I travel, we speak at presbyteries, we speak at congregations a lot, and I can't think of a single presbytery that I've been at in the past, since I've been on staff at the mission agency, that hasn't put youth as a priority for the presbytery, for the congregations. What are some ways, you touched on it a little bit with the Triennium Connect, what are some other ways in which our presbyteries and our congregations can connect with your office and work with you, or maybe download parts of your brain into the work that they're doing?
Yeah, we can do a lot via Zoom now, and via phone calls, via all of the ways you could reach us before. We're reachable. So the best way is just to email me directly, or to email Annalise, our Triennium registrar, and we will get back to you and help you plan, help you think, try to, and not just sort of brainstorm with you, but try to put things into your hand that are usable, and to help tease out of your own brain how to best connect with your young people. Because we do know there are cultural, there are regional differences for young people and for communities of young people across the planet. So when we put a resource out, we are serious when we say it needs to be adaptable. So I think we can help finesse some of that. There's some exciting things going on. I should have said this is going to be fun. So the minute we announced our change, youth ministry workers, registrars, being who they are, pivoted immediately to what they were going to do in place. So some are doing big events. One of our favorites is the Triennium. So it's the presbyteries of Pennsylvania who were all taking a big delegation to try and are doing their own thing, and we'll use some of the new resources, the Triennium. So they're coming together at a safe place that's got outdoor space, that kind of thing. And so we're going to have a gallery on our website that is a place where you can share photos, you can upload the liturgies you use, how you use the resources, because in youth ministry, we are the great ripper offers of each other, and we do that with love and community. So we wanted a place to display that. So it'll be fun. From what we can tell, people are really pivoting to this kind of exciting place for the summer.
Excellent. Well, Gina, one of the things we always ask in this in between two pulpits is for you to give some thought to the lectionary for the following Sunday. If you were going to be behind that pulpit and going to be speaking to a congregation on Sunday, in the lectionary readings that are prescribed for Sunday, do you have any thoughts of what you might say, what idea you might pick up?
Okay, first of all, I think you're really mean in giving me this lectionary Sunday, by the way, because the weird dream of Peter with the creepy animals on the blanket, that has always creeped me out, but fascinated me. So I'm pretty sure I like it would be a push thing for Gina to preach on this, but I would have chosen that one for sure. I'm not sure why, because generally when the part of circumcision is in the beginning of any passage, I say, no way, I'm not taking that. But Peter's dream and how Peter is led through this dream, I think, is something very approachable for us when we're thinking about young people, and we're thinking about the way they take up space, the way they land in our midst, the differences that they bring to us, that we've kind of come through a phase, I think, where we did a lot of criticism, a lot of critiquing of their use of technology, when what we're learning is that's their community building, that's their talking to each other. So I'm sort of seeing some of these animals as not being unclean, not being strange, but actually being these holy vessels of God, these holy pieces of God that have landed in our midst. And so this is really bad lectionary exegesis, by the way, that I'm doing on spot here. But I like that idea that in the midst of something that was probably a little gaspy for the folks in this gathering with Peter, that Peter starts to walk us through, saying, no, let's see what we've got here and what God might be trying to tell us. So, yeah.
And possibly some folks who were very resistant to technology and were all of a sudden are figuring out that, well, God did make this, and maybe God can use it.
Yeah. In my own worship circles, I want, like, several churches that I'm connected to, there's just an ongoing conversation about putting up screens or television monitors, and it's anathema over here and it's necessary over here. And I'm sort of laughing, like, so if the blanket dropped in the middle of us today, can you imagine what might be sitting on that would, like a monitor, a smartphone.
Excellent. Maybe somebody will use that on Sunday.
You're welcome, preaching world.
So, Sai, do you want to use give our last question, the last one that?
Yeah. So and Gina, Bill and I and all of us here in Mission Engagement and Special Offerings, we're grateful for all that you do. And so our closing question, I think, tends to always be around some form of this. But what is your hope for the church?
I'm gonna be really specific right now, because my office, PYAT, because I live and dwell in my work in the PMA, the Presbyterian Mission Agency. I think we in the PMA are at a precipice. That's a great precipice of welcoming back an integral youth and young adult ministry. Like, I can feel it, and I can feel a thing bubbling up about it, and excitement about collaboration among the Matthew 25 initiative, among all of the work that we do. I can feel it. And so that my hope lies right here, right now, even in this world of work that I dwell in, because I do believe what we do, it helps, it engages, it nudges, it inspires. We learn from our churches, and our churches are remembering the importance of their young people right now, and looking to them for kind of that next breath to take into this next decade. So I think we're in the same place in the PMA, and I'm excited about that.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Well, Gina, we really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and thank you for your energy and for and in Presbyterian speak, for the energy, intelligence, and imagination and love that you and your staff and all the volunteers who work with you bring to your ministries with youth. There's exciting things going on, and as we've said so many times, the youth of our church are not the future of our church; they are the church.
Yeah.
And so we want to celebrate that, and in the Pentecost offering, to support them, to put our money where our mouths are, and and move forward in that way. So as we close, I would like to use the Psalm prayer that is in the Book of Common Worship, attached to Psalm 148. Psalm 148 is the Psalm for Sunday, and I'd like to use the Psalm prayer that is in the Book of Common Worship to close us out. So if we could all pray together. God Most High, by your word you created a wondrous universe, and through your Spirit you breathed into it the breath of life. Accept creation's hymn of praise from our lips, and let the praise that is sung in heaven resound in the heart of every creature on earth, to the glory of your name, now and forever. Amen.
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 So thanks so much. Thanks everyone for joining us. We look forward to great conversations continuing. And Gina, again, thank you. Thank you, Sai.
Thank you.
And it's been great talking to everybody. We will talk to you again next week.
Thanks so
Take
much.
care.
Bye.